There are some things in life you can get away with cheaping out on. Maybe they're items that aren't as important to you, or things that simply serve a one-time purpose. And when it comes to photography, I can certainly think of some things that fit that category. With photography and filmmaking being my career for the better part of the last 8 or so years, there are definitely some items that I have regretted not spending a little bit more money on. In this video, I wanted to share with you guys some of my experience when it comes to buying equipment and give you guys the top 3 photography items that you should avoid cheaping out on. When I first started shooting weddings way back in 2012, one of the first purchases I made was a tripod for the purpose of getting static and panning and tilting shots. I actually went with a metal tripod from a company called Manfrotto on a recommendation from a friend. This same tripod that I bought 9 years ago is still in my bag today. You can tell by some of the scuff marks and just the outward appearance of the legs. I have dropped them, thrown them in the bag numerous times, even left them out in the rain on several occasions. They've just generally been through hell. The reason that I recommend to not cheap out on a tripod is that they're fairly basic tools and they don't really get more advanced over time, like camera lenses, camera bodies, and other camera tech. These tripod legs are a full metal design, and I think they ran me for about $350 back when I bought them, which is not the most expensive that you can get, but it's definitely not cheap either. A good set of tripod legs that can detach from the head is also a good idea in my opinion, because you can change the head later on to suit your needs, whether you're shooting more photography and you just want a ball head, or if you're doing more video, you can buy one of those big fluid heads. You can upgrade your tripod heads as you go, but a good set of legs will last you forever. Another great thing about Manfrotto is they also have a website that's dedicated to selling spare parts for these tripods. So there's been a few times where I've lost little bits and pieces. Nothing much has really broken on this tripod, to be honest, over that period of time, but it's good to know that you can always do your own repairs if something does go wrong. The price of SD cards can vary wildly, and going online, you've probably seen these more expensive brands and thinking, how do they charge so much for just a tiny little piece of plastic? Surely it can't be that expensive to make these. But to cut the long story short, the budget SD cards will be a lot less reliable, but also they're going to slow you down on a shoot, because the more budget SD cards compared to the more expensive ones usually have lower read and write speeds, which means when you're continuous shooting bursts of photos or doing any high resolution video, they're really going to suffer and struggle. I've even heard of off-brand or even fake SD cards not even being readable in your computer after just a few months of use. So my recommendation for SD cards is actually SanDisk. I've been using these pretty much since I started. Some of my SD cards have been dropped in water, even going through the wash, and just generally used vigorously, and they still work. Obviously the card that went through the wash has been retired now. I wouldn't be as crazy to keep using that card, but it's still nice to know that it worked even after going through that ordeal. If you want the absolute best quality, my recommendation is to go for the Extreme Pro model. So it's this black one here with the gold writing. They have the fastest read and write speeds, as well as just the best quality overall. I've had a few really bad experiences when it comes to buying SD cards online, because fake SD cards are rife in the industry. You have to be really careful about this. So nowadays, in order to just eliminate the issue completely, I always buy my SD cards from a physical store. So this is an example of a fake SD card that I bought, and as you can see, the label has almost completely been removed, as well as there's just some like differences in the way the card looks. There's like a weird placement for the serial number on the bottom as well. And the reason that I found out that it was fake was because I wasn't getting the speed that I thought I would be getting when I was using the camera. So I plugged the SD card into my computer and I used the Blackmagic disk speed test to test the read and write speeds of the card, and it was far lower than what was advertised. And at that moment I realized I bought fake SD cards, but it was maybe 6 months ago that I bought them, so it was kind of too late to send them back. So I definitely recommend do your research, buy from reputable suppliers if you're buying online, or the best way is just to go into a physical store and buy them yourself so you know you're getting the real deal. Oh yeah, and if you want to test your SD cards, I'll leave the link to the Blackmagic speed tester thing down in the description below. Now, batteries don't last quite as long as tripods. However, it's definitely an item that you don't want to cheap out on for a few reasons. The first is that camera manufacturers obviously want you to spend your money on the genuine branded camera batteries. Let's say, for instance, you are the camera manufacturer and somebody out there is using your camera and they're putting a battery in it that you have no idea where it's coming from, who made it, and you have no idea how it's going to function in the camera. It could cause the camera not to function how it's supposed to, and it could even cause a mechanical fault leading to the camera manufacturer then having to fix it under their own warranty. So you can kind kind of understand the risk that camera manufacturers are taking if they let their users just use whatever battery they want to. So most of the camera companies, they put little chips inside the batteries, and these ensure that the genuine batteries are being used in the camera, but they also do things like reporting exactly how much life is left in the battery cell. Whereas I've found aftermarket batteries generally do a bad job at this. My Canon EOS R, for example, gives you a warning when attempting to use off-brand batteries, and it won't show you the remaining battery capacity. So yes, I do recommend buying genuine batteries. Don't cheap out on them. They can be 3 to 5 times more expensive than the aftermarket ones, but in my opinion, they just last longer when you're actually using the camera itself. They have better recharge performance over time, and also they show battery percentage accurately, which means no nasty surprises when you're in a shoot and a battery instantly running out even though it said 5 minutes ago that it was full. On top of that, I've heard issues from other photographers about aftermarket batteries just stopping randomly for no reason. They just don't work anymore. They crack or break, and I've even heard of aftermarket batteries swelling up to the point that they don't even fit inside the camera anymore. Let me know, what are your never go cheap on photography items down in the comments below. Stick around for a while, watch another video here, and I'll catch you guys next time.